So, this is Mr. Watcher. There's a story in the Haaretz Israeli newspaper written by a guy named Kobi Enayev on October 9, 2012. It's titled, "Has Our Expiration Date Arrived?" The question is not whether Israel will still exist in 10 years, but what kind of Israel will be here in 10 years. He goes on to say, former U.S. Secretary of State Henry Kissinger said not long ago that in 10 years there would be no more Israel. What foolishness, right? Clearly Israel will survive forever. First of all, because that is what our leaders say. Second, we have a fine army, smart bombs, a stable economy, and high tech too. And third, because God is with us. These are facts. Quite arrogant if you ask me. So let me tell you why Henry Kissinger had said what he said. It is now 2022. Henry Kissinger predicted in 2012 that Israel would be finished, give or take 2012. We have reached Judgment Day for Israel. The game is over and your final solution has arrived. And just why did Henry Kissinger, a recognized Jew and well-established Zionist, say that Israel will be finished per the article in the Haaretz newspaper? It's because the Americans had built a supercomputer in the early 2000s that can accurately predict the future. Let's see. And or actually show them the future, among other things, including an actual Stargate. And this computer is called Looking Glass. Look it up, Looking Glass. It told the Americans that by 2012 it would be the beginning of the end of their way of life. That by 2022 everything will come crashing down. All the lies will be exposed and the evil empire, the USA, will be changed forever. There will be massive arrests, trials, public executions, suicides in the streets of the elites, that have been running the show for decades. Why? Because they, since before 9/11 false flag event, have been engaged in worldwide treachery, sowing the seeds of their own destruction like some reluctant farmer steeped in ignorance. But now has come the time to pay the fiddler. The trumpet has been blown, and there'll be a glorious judgment day for these wicked elites. These jinn, J-I-N-N, per the Holy Quran, you might want to look into that, that have been not visible among us, pulling strings and decimating innocent lives. You see, as a child, I'm a Muslim by the way, as a child I was taught there's creatures among us called the jinn, but they're invisible so we can't see them. But we have to trust in the Holy Quran that these creatures exist. One mistake that I was told is that they were invisible. It's not correct. They are not visible, not invisible. There's a big difference. The reason they are not visible is because they look like us, like you and me. They're hard to spot, okay? The way you spot them, and believe it or not, there are actually some good jinn and there's some bad jinn. But the way you spot them is by their deeds. They hate mankind, the son of Adam, the children of Adam. And they go out of their way to create all kind of mischief, evil, havoc, murder, spreading pandemics, spreading diseases. This is what they do. They are an enemy to Adam, the children of Adam. Okay? Allow me to complete the thought here. Okay, among us pulling strings and decimating innocent human lives. Not only was the evil empire responsible for 9/11, but also for countless epidemics, pandemics that have plagued us since 9/11. You see, in 2005, an infamous pharma company, likely Pfizer, maybe others, took on a Pentagon contract. Again, this is in 2005. I have the video on my Mr. Watcher channel. Please watch it, copy it, save it, send it, do whatever you need to do before they delete it, as we surely know they will. Okay, company took on a Pentagon contract to help the Pentagon find a scientific solution to their Muslim problem. They actually developed a respiratory virus. That's exactly what it says in this video that's being filmed in the Pentagon with what I assume to be a Pfizer scientist and Pentagon officials, probably CIA officials and others that were crowding around and listening to his lecture. So they actually developed the respiratory virus to infect the minds of Muslims of the Middle East, to cause them to become benign to any religious affiliation. It was designed to stop the Muslims from believing in and worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the medical treatment shot, which they have been pushing on everybody, would in fact cement the minds shut, sealing off any chance of religious fervor. That was their intention, you see. But it backfired. God himself made it backfire. Their intentions were evil, to take people away from God, and now we have the situation we have with the coronavirus, as you see. Okay, any chance of religious fervor? Okay, but it backfired, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told the Muslims it would in the Holy Quran, Surah 86, At-Tariq, the Morning Star, section 9 through 17, I believe. You might want to read a little bit before that too. Let me see what else I put here. There's more, I'll try to add it in later. Anyway, this thing goes on. Lots of people might get upset that I'm calling America the evil empire. There's actually a very good reason. The last real American president was John F. Kennedy. They murdered him, okay? It was not an accident, it was not Oswald. Oswald was actually an FBI agent. He was sent undercover to go figure out this conspiracy. That was his job. He was trying to save the president and flush out the conspirators. The orders to kill JFK came from Israel. Why? The reason was they had actually tried to trick JFK when it came to nuclear weapons. Okay, he had sent in a team of his inspectors to a place called Dimona. This is before '63. Into a place called Dimona. They took them, I think, on the 4th or 5th level of this bunker and showed them a minimal amount of, radioactive isotopes or whatever it was, when they actually were hiding the real nukes about another 12 stories down. Okay, that was the thing. JFK found this out, and he was pressuring them to get rid of it. And they weren't going to have that. They weren't going to be in the middle of the Middle East unprotected as they were thinking. They were terrified of the Arabs and the day that the Arabs will come to them in one day, as predicted in the Holy Quran. They know what was coming, Judgment Day. So they took out a contract on him. They had everybody in control. They controlled the money supply, the Federal Reserve, the World Bank, and so forth and so on. That's what they do. That's what they've always done. The gentleman who actually took responsibility was Ben Gurion. How do we know this to be true? It's because he actually resigned either immediately, I think it was immediately before the assassination went into effect. Also involved was Golda Meir and General Moshe Dayan, okay, among others. They gave the orders to the CIA and others that were affiliated to go ahead and get rid of this problem where they couldn't control JFK. They wanted him in Vietnam, they wanted him fighting the Cubans, they wanted him fighting the Russians, and he wasn't having any part of it. He wasn't getting played anymore. That's what the bottom line was. So, he wasn't being pushed around. They needed to get rid of him. What the CIA did, and it was a young George Bush at the time who was running the show, and among other, filth like them spooks, what they did is they actually hired the mafia. In particular, the actual shooter, the guy who took the kill shot, his name is James Files. His documentary was actually uploaded about him where he admitted readily to taking the kill shot. He was a hired man. He was a mafia man. They didn't like him because they felt that JFK had betrayed them and started going against his promises. Okay, JFK was trying to clean up the country, and that's a part of, you know, they basically had a consortium of people that disliked what he was doing. Anyways, what ends up happening is they obviously assassinate him, and then they go on to assassinate Bobby Kennedy. These people don't take any chances. They don't make any mistakes. They're not stupid. They know what they're doing, and they're not going to take any chances. They're gonna get rid of any potential person that can come after them. And to go ahead and muddy the waters and muckrake in a sense, they went ahead and killed at least MLK as well, Martin Luther King. I don't believe they had anything to do with Malcolm X. I think that was an internal thing, but there may be others. There may be others that were involved, because their whole thing was they knew the strife of America between the races, and that's what they wanted to really get everybody riled up on. So anyway, we move forward. 9/11, as you've all figured out by now, was an inside job. This was a false flag event where the government basically shoots itself in the foot and then screams bloody murder and then goes after somebody